In this video, I want to show you the top 5 most common questions that Winn Dixie ask in their interviews, and I'm going to help you plan brilliant answers that will get you the job. So let's start with the most common question that is guaranteed to come up, and that is simply, what times can you work at Winn Dixie? And they're super interested in the answer to this, and I'm going to show you how you can plan a brilliant answer. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you show as much flexibility as possible. You've got to be flexible, and you want to show that this job is very important to you and that you can work around their needs. You want to also show some reliability, be clear about the fact that you intend to be on time, that you've got a good track record of being on time for work and being there when you say you will be. That you've got a can-do attitude, so if they suggest various times, you want to try as hard as you can to say yes to all of those times, and therefore you're going to demonstrate commitment to the job. The way that people answer this question really badly is they list all the times that they can't work or that they would not want to work, and then set up the interview very negatively and give a whole load of reasons why they shouldn't be hired. The other great tip that you can use is to think about the times that they're really interested in and specifically tailor your answer to mention some of the key times. So Winn Dixie like to hear things like weekends, evenings, school breaks, overtime, being happy to work at short notice. And the other great way to answer this question is towards the end of your answer to say that you're happy to work to meet the business's needs. And that is showing a great amount of flexibility and also will give them more reasons to hire you because you're going to be someone that's flexible and is going to help with their staffing. So that's how you answer that question. The next question that is super important is to answer any questions about your knowledge about Winn Dixie and also show that you have really done some research. And there is a systematic way to plan and prepare for this question and also answer it. So you look at this diagram here. The first thing you need to do is mention the obvious facts that everyone knows so that it shows you've got a basic understanding. Then move out and drop in a few facts that only some people would know, and then really go and impress them by dropping some facts that only very few people who have really done their research would actually know. And to help you prepare for this, I'm going to give you all those facts that you need to have in your head, ready to go and ready to discuss in the interview. So the first thing you say if you're asked about what Winn Dixie does, you say the obvious. You say that it's a supermarket chain. It's not just one store, it's lots and lots of stores. They are centered around Florida, Alabama, Louisiana, Georgia, and Mississippi. They are a southern focused business, which is unsurprising. They are founded in 1925, if you trace the history all the way back to the original store, though the current name of Winn Dixie came into play around 1955. They were started by William Milton Davis and his sons, so quite a few sons. They all got together and formed a family business. It was originally founded with the purchase of the Rockmoor grocery store, which was funded by a $10,000 loan. And that's what got the business started originally. It's now part of Southeastern Grocers. That's the company that owns Winn Dixie. But above that, they were taken over by Bilo and bought out at a point in their history. They have the Czech brand. That is a really famous brand that Winn Dixie is a big part of, and it's one of the reasons why people go to the store. You should also have some familiarity with their private label brands. You should be able to list their current private label. That's the products that are manufactured by Winn Dixie and sold under their own brand. And they have various levels, and these change. So make sure you're familiar with which brands are Winn Dixie brands. You should also be aware of the rewards program and understand how the current rewards program works. That changes, and they recreate their rewards program every so often. So go on their website and make sure you're familiar with how the current system works when you go for your interview, and that knowledge will really help show off some research. They also offer lots of different store services. For example, they may have a pharmacy, and you need to know which particular store services are available in the store that you apply to. And a great tip to really help your preparation is really simple. Just take some time to read the About Us page on their website, and you can click through a few links and just explore the company and build that familiarity. They're not expecting you to be an expert on the company, but you should have a good familiarity. And throughout the interview, you can drop in lots of different facts from your research to show that you're really prepared and actually you take this job very seriously, and that is shown by your preparation. The next question you absolutely must prepare for is, why do you want to join Winn Dixie? And this is going to be a question that they're going to be very, very interested in. They want people who actually really want to work here and are very motivated to join the company. And there's a way to think about planning your answer. I'm not going to tell you exactly what to say because it's very personal. You have to particularize this to your personal values and interests. But I'm going to show you the sort of things that you're going to discuss. The first thing you want to really think about is, why would you enjoy working at Winn Dixie? So maybe write down 3 or 4 reasons why you actually would enjoy doing the job. Do you like working with customers? Do you like working in stores? Have you worked in retail in the past and really enjoyed it? These sort of things. Do you have a personal connection to the Winn Dixie brand? These are all the sort of things you should be talking about. Think about why you actually want to work in grocery retail. So that might probably be something around working with customers, working with people, and the jobs that you actually do in grocery retail. That might be something that you quite enjoy. Talk about progression and training if you're very ambitious. This may be a step towards working into supermarket management, and that you see that you've got a good long-term potential to grow with the company. You may have what we call brand affinity. So if you've shopped at Winn Dixie for years, talk about that. Talk about your love of the Winn Dixie brand. Talk about the products that you consume from Winn Dixie and your enjoyment of those, and share in that passion for the brand. But make sure that whatever you do, that you are enthusiastic and you sound really, really super interested in working for Winn Dixie, and that you've got a passion, and that will come across and will help you score more highly. There's certain things that you absolutely must not say because they're very negative and they will seriously harm your chance of getting the job. So don't mention the fact that you live near a Winn Dixie. That's perhaps obvious. You probably live in this area, but it suggests that this is just you looking for any job. You're not particularly interested in Winn Dixie. Don't mention the fact you just need to get some money, or give the idea that this is just a gap-filled job. This is a job you'll do until something better comes along. You don't really want this one, but you might just have to take it. If you give them that idea, that's really going to set it off very negative. And also, don't talk about anything that's not of interest. Anything that's not going to make you look better for the job, that's irrelevant to them, is not something you want to be discussing in great detail. Some tips for success and inspiration of things you could talk about is the love of the Winn Dixie brand. Mention career progression, long-term job. Give the idea that this is a company that you could work with for a long time if that is your intention. If you have a passion for customer service and have done it in the past, talk about that. Talk about the skills that you'll learn and develop while working there. And if you know someone who works in the company, you can talk about what they've told you. You don't have to name them, but you can say how you know people who've worked here and they've had really positive experiences, and that they've talked to you about the company and really encouraged you to apply because they love their job, and you can share in their passion for the company. And that's a great way to answer it. So plan out an answer, and this is one that you absolutely should write it out in full and try and learn it so that you can be really confident. If you're not confident in answering this question, it's not going to go very well. Let's move on and look at question 4, which is, how would you manage a complaint from an upset customer? The good news for this question is there is a simple systematic procedure of say this, say this, say this, and then if you say all these things, you will score highly. And I'm going to show you what that is. So firstly, talk about de-escalating. So if the customer's angry and upset, the first thing you do is de-escalate, you get the situation under control, and you don't make the customer even more upset. Your priority is making them less upset. The next thing you say is that you're going to show that you're listening. You're actively listening to their complaint, and you're really interested in what they have to say. Because often when the customer is angry and upset, what they really do want is just someone to listen to them. And once they're convinced that someone is taking them seriously and listening, it's amazing how quickly things calm down. The next thing you want to do is say that you'll show empathy, that you'll empathize with them, that something's went wrong, they're upset and angry about something. And so if you're empathizing with them, that's going to help resolve the situation. The next thing you want to mention is that you want to find a solution to their problem within the Winn Dixie policy. They might be making completely unreasonable requests that you can't actually do exactly what they want you to do because it's not within the policy, but you want to find some way to resolve their complaint properly. The next thing you want to do is say that you're going to turn a negative into a positive. You want an angry, upset customer to come to you, and then after you've dealt with them, they're going to be like, yeah, it went wrong, but the company fixed it. They didn't do it great the first time. There was a mistake, but once we informed them of the mistake. The whole thing was dealt with brilliantly, and this employee sorted it out for me. I'm really happy with that. That is your goal, is to turn a negative into a positive. So say each of these things in order, and you will absolutely nail this question. So the next one you want to talk about is your previous work history. So they'll say things like, can you tell me about your employment history? And what you want to do is think about relevance. So you must make sure that you're talking about mostly your most relevant experience. They don't want to see any negatives. You don't want to talk negatively about your previous employer. And if they've got relevant experience and no negatives, then that's going to really help them towards making a higher decision. And to be successful, I would suggest that you bring your resume. You can have that out on the table with you. You want to show off your skills. You want to be really clear about the fact that you left on good terms. And everything you say, you need to link back to Winn Dixie. And there is a systematic way to set out an answer. So let's go through how you achieve all of these successes. So the first thing you do is you state your job title. You say, this is the job that I had. Then say what the responsibilities were. You then want to be prepared to answer questions about why you left that job. You don't have to say it straight away, but if you're asked, you need to have a good response to that. So that could be promotion, moving to a new city, for example, and also make sure you never say anything negative about your former employer. Hopefully they won't ask about why you left, but sometimes that question comes up and it's one to be prepared for. The next thing is most important is to link it to the Winn Dixie job. So if you've had any job in the past that's worked with customers, link that to providing good customer service. If you worked in groceries, talk about that experience and how it can transfer. Any job can be linked to Winn Dixie. You just have to think about the skills that you need to be successful in a grocery retail job and the skills that you've picked up in previous work. And if you do that, you're going to get through this question. You're going to show off your experience. People waste this question by just listing their job titles, but not actually explaining what they learned and how that's going to make them good at the job. You're basically selling yourself as a brilliant employee because of the experience that you have. And if you stick to this system and you plan it out, you will be successful. So before we finish, there's a bonus set of things that you should be prepared for, which is the questions that you're going to ask them at the end of the interview. So you could start by asking them about the next step. So you can say how you're really interested in the job and that you want to know what happens next to show that real interest in getting the job. You could ask about what you could do now to be really well prepared for starting at the company. You could perhaps ask about the team that you could be working with and the culture in the store. It's a very high level question. You could also ask what the characteristics of really successful and effective employees are, and then engage in a conversation about how your skills match what they're actually looking for. And lastly, you need one question ready that you're thinking up during the interview. So as you're having a discussion, if something pops into your head as a question you might want to ask, try and remember it and then ask that at the end. So I'd pick a couple of these and then try and think up one during the interview to show that you're listening and engaging in a two-way conversation. So I wish you the absolute best of luck in your Winn Dixie interview. Please post below the questions that you were asked in your interview to help everyone out. And if it was helpful, please like and subscribe below. And finally, thank you very much for watching.